Hey YouTube, welcome. We're going to go live and we're going to talk a little bit about the mushrooms I got here on the board. I was out at Salt Point State Park today doing some mushroom foraging with some friends, and there wasn't a whole lot of good edible mushrooms, but there was some good biodiversity, and I wanted to kind of share with you guys some things I found because this is still relatively early in the season, and I'll go over some of the things that I saw and what I hoped maybe I would see. I did find a good amount of this mushroom that is edible. It's an oyster mushroom, Plurotus pulmonaris. So we have a sort of native species we have here in California. It grows usually on dead oaks. It's pretty thin. It's not super fleshy like some of the other oyster species, but it has a little stipe here that kind of like connects to the tree. I cut it off using a knife, but it's got decurrent gills that run onto the stipe. With specimens like this that are a little bit kind of dirty, I'll usually boil these, and then I'll cut them into strips and save them for stir fries and stuff like that. That works pretty well. We have some Cocora. This is Amanita Muscaria. I saw this last time I was out there. There's more of it now, or actually less of it now. There was more a couple weeks ago, but I think it'll come back. We just got a whole bunch more rain, and I think we're going to see the species diversity sort of explode. Because even right now, compared to last time I was there, there's a lot more species diversity. It's not as much edible stuff, but there's a lot more to see. So, beautiful purple Cortinarius. We have a purple Gomphis clavitus. So it's a pig's ear mushroom. This one's not really mature yet, but it is a edible mushroom. We got a Matsutake. So there's one beautiful Matsutake out there. I thought it was pretty early for Matsutake, but I managed to find one under the tan oak. Matsutake is Tricholoma Merlinium, and it's a really amazing smelling mushroom. And when they're tiny little buttons like this, they can go for a couple $100 a pound. So these are pretty valuable, especially valued in Japan and China, where they're shaved into soups and rice dishes. So these are kind of honey mushroom. Armillaria solidipes or Armillaria ostoyae is the two names they apply to this species. Sort of brown looking honey mushrooms. But those were out in force. Saw a bunch of those. We have a Tricholoma. Excuse me, it's late. This Tricholoma esquitari group. So this is sort of a yellow night. These are edible, but they have questionable toxicity if you eat a lot of them over a long period of time. So I've only eaten them once because of that. This is something called the yellow powdery sulfur bolete. Has this absolutely wild kind of sulfury yellow color. Pretty good pats. I have some really cool diversity of Romaria here. So different kinds of coral fungi. And they just have wild colors, incredible textures. They really do look like they belong underwater. I freaking love Romaria, and the fact there's a lot of Romaria action is really good because that means there are more good mycorrhizal mushrooms coming. These are a great indicator species for other things. Speaking of indicator species, we have the classic Amanita Muscaria. This is the Mario mushroom, or fly agaric. This is a really good indicator for porcini, king boletes. With pine habitat, you'll find a lot of these around. You'll also see Clatosobe, the spy, the sort of little white mushroom here, and the peppery bolete, and those things will always signal that there are king boletes nearby. I saw all the signs today, but I didn't see any porcini, and that's life. Some days you get close, but not quite. Here's a couple species of Russula. This is the red-headed Russula. It has a red stem, red top. Another Russula, they're both kind of bitter, spicy. They make you sick if you tried eating those, so I don't recommend it. And we got a Lactarius here, streaming live on TikTok earlier, showing the goo that comes out of it when you cut it. This is a pretty solid Lactarius. Give it a nice little tappity tap, tap, tap. We've got some Satharella A kind of things. These are little things called long pipes that come up real quick after rain. They're pretty brittle, fall apart real easily. We have a Rhizopogon. This is a little kind of like truffle-like fungi thing, and it's inside. This one's actually full of maggots, so I don't want to deal with that. Rhizopogon, though, is kind of bouncy, and it has texture like floral foam, which is pretty wild stuff. So this is a Suillus tomentosus. These are boletes. These are very mediocre edibles, but they're solid little mushrooms nonetheless. This is a Dyer's Polypore. It was growing in the dirt. It's a, well, I guess it wasn't growing in dirt. It was growing on the dead dying wood of a Doug fir tree. So these are brown rot fungi that will fruit year after year on the same tree. Generally are pretty long lived. They'll fruit out and become big and blown out and brown, but I'm going to use this one to help dye some fabrics. And you can see underneath these little pores, so it makes a polypore. You can also see I used KOH to draw a smiley face on there, so hi. Yeah, got a lot of good stuff on the board. This was an example of a fake oyster, Crepidotus species, so that was a little different than our real oyster here. So Crepidotus, and this is Plurotus, false oyster versus a real oyster. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff out there. I'm about to go up on a road trip to Oregon and Washington, and hopefully I'll see a lot more cool mushrooms. So you'll see more from me, but do a couple of pats on these guys before I go to bed. These are Lactarius pats. We got our more Amanita pats. Pat. So it's really like solid, yeah, solid pats on this this Ramaria. Oh, of course, our Matsutake's got a little tap. And on that Russella. Yeah, guys. Lots of good stuff. Oh, I gotta show you this. Hang on. One more thing. This is really cool. So I know I've shown this to you guys before, but here's the UV reactivity of some of these mushrooms. So I have some Hypholoma and some Foliota species that are very UV reactive. And particularly the gills are what are UV reactive. So you see these things sort of glowing, literally glowing. I think the flesh is a little UV reactive too. So, I'm just shining a UV light, and the light that you're seeing reflected back is from the fact that compounds in these mushrooms fluoresce and emit light at a different wavelength than what I'm sending at them. So that's pretty cool. I love this effect. It's very neat. So anyhow, hope you guys learned something. If you'd like to learn more from me, please consider subscribing to my YouTube, which you're watching. Check out my website, fastingwithfungi.com. I have cool t-shirts. I have a guide where I answer all your common questions. I have some mushroom discounts where you can save money on kits, all that good stuff. I got an Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. I'm on all the social medias, and I am very appreciative to everyone who listens to me talk about mushroom stuff. So cheers, much love, and have a good one. Bye.